Welcome to season 11 of Third Song In with Chris Derrickson and Tom Polachek. This week, we welcome back author, businessman, and amateur cyclist Andy Armstrong. Andy Armstrong is a Washington University alum, businessman, world traveler, and author. Welcome back to the show, Andy.
Great to be here. Always is. This is number three, I think, and they're always fun.
Well, we're continuing our top five themes for season 11. Andy came up with a really cool idea. It's a twist on the top five, but we are doing movies this week. But we're doing five different feelings or emotions that movies cause us, and we're each going to pick a movie that evokes that particular emotion. I think it's kind of a cool twist, a thoughtful approach from Mr. Armstrong.
Yes.
I was struggling to come up with five movies because every time I did it, I came up with five new movies. And I
Yeah.
thought, well, any art's supposed to evoke emotion. So why don't we just pick the top five emotions? And as you guys know, I read a lot of psychiatry, psychology stuff. And so I took it from a very good source, the movie Inside Out, and picked my five emotions.
Hmm.
Joy, sadness, anger, and fear. So that seemed like a good place to start. And I've talked through it with several people, and everybody kind of plays it differently, but it's fun to hear how people look at it. So I thought it might be fun to start there and see where it goes.
Yeah, it's a great idea. It is definitely a twist on what we originally thought of as an approach to this, but we have definitely realized that when you say, "Hey, let's pick our top five of something," if you mean all time, then it becomes a little too broad. It becomes a 5 hour podcast episode, so that doesn't seem like a good idea for anybody.
Nope, absolutely not.
The idea here is that we took those five emotions: happiness, sadness, anger, fear, and disgust. And we each picked five movies that we felt fit that category. And my guess is going to be that we each kind of took a different approach to what that means. So it ought to be pretty interesting. All right. So my thought about this was, again, to try to narrow things down. At least personally, I decided to pick films that I have seen myself, as opposed to looking on the internet and finding the movie that represents sadness the most, for example. So at least for me, and I'm guessing looking at your lists on the outline, I think we all picked movies that we've seen at least one time. In my case, for fear, it was just the one time, but
I've only been scared once.
just that one time, and then I stopped. Then I withdrew from the world. I guess the first topic. There's Liz.
I heard Joy, so I thought I would pop in at the perfect moment.
We were talking about Joy Behar. I'm a big fan of The View.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, right. Is right.
Actually, I was waiting for you to ask about me, and
Yeah?
you didn't.
I
So
just,
I
I always
decided to
feel
come in.
you.
Huh?
I just always feel you. I feel your presence.
Aw. Aw.
Aw.
Nice recovery.
See?
That was a good recovery.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Bye.
Yeah. So our first category is happiness. Each of us picked a movie that represented happiness to us. And as our honored three-time guest, Andy, why don't you kick it off? Where did you go with a movie that reflects happiness?
Yeah, and I just for clarity, I tended to go to what emotions were evoked in me personally when I saw the movie or see it now. And for me, The Princess Bride continuously brings joy. I've seen it 25 times, and every time I watch it, it brings me joy. Certainly a note of sadness with Rob Reiner and what's
Yeah.
happened recently. It's not on the joy or happiness side, that's for sure. But in reading, he was looking for the part that Andre the Giant ended up playing and couldn't find the right person for it. He had several different people he was looking at, and he had Andre the Giant interview or audition, and he couldn't understand a word he said, but it was the perfect body. So he ended up recording the entire part for him, and he practiced just from that recording and got what is probably what one of the things that makes this movie so joyful is that big lug. Just anybody want a peanut? You can't say that without feeling some happiness. So that movie continuously, no matter how many times I watch it, brings happiness to me. So that's my call.
Yeah, it's funny that movie has come up quite a few times in the last maybe 3 or 4 months of our podcast. And most recently, and for the premiere of this season, we had a Rob Reiner episode and we talked about basically our top five Rob Reiner films. And Princess Bride was number five, if I'm not mistaken. And although it was the fifth on that list, I think we probably talked about it in that episode more than we talked about any other Rob Reiner movie, except maybe The Sure Thing. But it's hard to argue with the feelings that that movie evokes, even if you're not the biggest fan of it. It definitely has that aura to it. Chris, what'd you pick for a movie and happiness?
Well, it's funny. I would have picked Princess Bride, but I looked at the script and Andy already chose it, so I didn't think it was going
Son
to
of a
be.
bitch.
I didn't think it was be helpful for me to just go ditto. So,
It's
so
shorter conversation.
it is.
Now that's great podcasting.
So I was thinking back to movies I've watched over the years and watched over and over again, and one that came up, and it's going to sound oddly happy, is a movie called Inside Moves from 1980. Stars John Savage and David Morse. David Morse has definitely made his career more in TV than movie, but he's great in this. In the opening scene, Savage's character walks up to a building and jumps, and he doesn't die. And they show him recovering very briefly. Then he's very lonely, and he goes to this bar where a bunch of people with various disabilities or whatever. I mean, well, whatever. I don't know if it's handicap is appropriate anymore, but basically a bunch of guys who are dealing with some sort of disability, and it's just a great place for him. Like he feels welcome. It's a cool. It's like a weird twist on Cheers. The bartender is David Morse. He has a limp. He's not fully, but he feels throughout the movie, you get the sense that he feels the most normal and is trying to get away from them. Whereas Savage's character, I think his name is Rory, sorry, Rory. He embraces it. Long story short, Morse's character Jerry steals Savage's girlfriend at one point. They have a falling out. I won't ruin the end of the movie, but at the end, John Savage's character does a great thing for his buddy. One of the cool things I like about the movie is throughout it, they when they say hi to each other, like, "Hey, Jerry," and the other one yells back, "Hey, Rory." It's just a feel-good movie when everything's said and done. Like I said, it starts on a pretty bleak note, and it's just great acting. I didn't write her name down, but there's the girlfriend. I think either won or was at least nominated for an Oscar for a movie that was fairly obscure. I mean, there was some really great acting in it, so I'd check it out.
I've never seen that movie.
I would encourage. I don't even know if I assume it must stream somewhere.
I just
Um,
looked it up as you were describing it. It actually streams for free on Tubi and Fubo, and probably Booby and Lubo, and I don't know. But I knew it's on both of those, and it's got a low rental price on Prime Video too, as far as that's concerned. But that sounds like a great movie, and I'm surprised that I've never seen it at all.
that's what I go for.
You
Obscure.
you got it. And by the way, John Savage, David Morse, I tend to confuse those two guys, so it may be tough for me to watch that movie. I may not
I
be able
do,
to.
I do recommend you watch it on Doobie. I think it's better.
Just about everything
Yeah,
is better on Tubi, I say.
there's
It's been my experience.
some great side effects from Doobie.
All right, my happiness movie is, I would say, kind of along the lines of your pick, Andy. I chose the film School of Rock, directed by Mike White. It's the ultimate Jack Black vehicle, other than his supporting role in High Fidelity. I don't know if a movie ever captured the pure Jack Black better than the movie School of Rock. Every single scene in that movie makes me smile for some reason or another, whether it's the awesome scenes with Jack Black himself or just some of the other conversations. I just think it's well acted, but it's created to make you feel good about the world. And it's definitely the first movie I thought of when I thought of it. Hey, what's a
You
happiness
might
movie?
say it's the black and white of happiness.
Yes, exactly. I don't think I would say that though.
No? No.
All right, so what's our next emotion, Andy, on
On
the
my list,
inside out scale?
I've got sadness next.
All right, let's talk sadness.
All right. For me, I'm going way back in the vault, and not a lot of people have seen this movie. Everything I see about this states that it's unknown, but it's a movie by Anthony Minghella. And you may know or may not that he went on to do a couple other movies that were fairly popular. The English Patient, The Talented Mr. Ripley, Cold Mountain. So he knows a little bit about movie making. But in this movie, Truly Madly Deeply, he uses Juliet Stevenson and Alan Rickman, two wonderful British actors. And if you want to understand grief and sadness from losing someone, Juliet Stevenson's performance is the best there's ever been. He just captures it in such a way that you understand it. The movie goes on, and I could have referenced it for Happy as well, because the happiest, most joyful moment I've ever seen on screen is in that movie, when Juliet Stevenson is playing the piano and Alan Rickman is playing the cello, and it's just pure joy, and it's one of my favorite cinematic scenes ever. But as far as capturing what grief is and what sadness is, I think Miguel did a wonderful job in this movie. It's just outstanding.
I know you have talked to me about that movie. I can't remember if we talked about it on an episode or it was just on a long bike ride, but you've recommended that to me. I still haven't seen that film, and I have got to watch it. I'm officially putting it on my to be watch list right now.
It's that type of respect that keeps me coming back.
Exactly, exactly. That's all right. Chris hasn't watched, read, or seen anything I've recommended for 2 years, so
And I never will.
and he never will.
Source of pride.
Yes.
All right. What evokes sadness in you, Chris? This may take a
Uh,
while.
no, it won't. I'll keep it brief. I went with the weird one. I went with Family Man. I love that movie. I've watched it 1,000 times. That whole like angel coming to visit and showing you how your life could have been otherwise, all the way back to Jimmy Stewart's great movie, Christmas movie that I've never seen. But I think Family Man is Nicolas Cage's best movie by far. It's got just a cool scene of he's, the king of the universe on Wall Street and pisses off a guy who happens to be an angel, and he sends him back to the life that he could have had as a, paycheck to paycheck father, with who was the love of his life. And while it ends up possibly being a happy movie, when he wakes up back in his, Manhattan studio apartment, which is not quite a studio, his Manhattan
Huh.
apartment,
Yeah.
he is so bummed out about all the stuff that he didn't even realize he missed in his life. So I think it's a great movie. It's good acting. Another one with great acting. Tia Leone's awesome in it. And it's, as I said, it's one of the few I can watch. We all love Nicolas Cage, but we love to hate how he overacts. And I think he does a decent job in this one. So
Have you seen that movie, Andy?
I have not.
I just rewatched it within the last month or so. Over kind of the Christmas holidays, I ended up watching it. And I primarily watched it because you had talked about it not so long ago, Chris, as just one of the best Nicolas Cage movies. And I have to agree. And it really does have that It's a Wonderful Life feeling to it, but it's updated. And I mean, it's an older movie, right? When did that come out? Geez, it's 20.
2000, I think.
Yeah, it's like 26 years old, but it still feels pretty contemporary. And it's definitely worth the watch, Andy. I would agree there's a lot of sadness in that movie.
Yeah.
So my choice for my sadness movie is from 2016. It's the movie Lion, directed by Garth Davis. I saw this movie in the theater. It was a Best Picture nominee, and there was a stretch where I would spend a day and watch half of the Best Picture nominees at a local movie theater. It's really kind of a cool thing. You buy a ticket for like 5 or 6 movies all at once, and it was one of them. And after I left that day of film watching, that was my choice for Best Picture. It didn't win, but it was just outstanding. And probably a month or so later, after the Oscars and after it came out on video, I made my whole family watch it. And within 25 minutes of the movie starting, I looked down the couch and every single person in my family had tears in their eyes, including me. And my son Jake looked at me, he goes, "Why are you making us watch this?" And my daughter Anna was like, I think she just said, "This is the saddest thing I've ever seen in my life." And they're not wrong, but it's a beautiful film, and it does have a kind of a cool redemptive story to it, and it does have a happy ending, but it's not till you get to the very end that you get to that happy ending. So I do recommend it, but it is definitely my sadness movie, Lion from 2016.
I
And
think
that
that brings
brings
us to
us, oh, sorry.
Oh
No,
no, go
fear.
ahead.
What do we
Fear?
got?
No,
All right.
anger. Anger. I fear that I'm wrong. So it is anger.
Anger. For me, as a history minor and one who has continued to do what I can to study history, I can't help but think of man's inhumanity to man. And Saving Private Ryan captures that in an amazing way. And you think first of Matt Damon's character, who is one of five kids, four of which have been killed, and you just think of the horror of that realization for a starting point for this movie. One of the things I learned about the movie that I didn't know before starting to read now is Spielberg actually had all the characters do boot camp, but left Matt Damon out of it so there would be resentment towards him built up in the cast. And you feel that. You absolutely feel it. And I think Spielberg always does amazing things, but in that movie, I think he captured the terror and horror of war that made me angry. I walked away from the theater not knowing what emotion it was, but months later, I figured out I was just mad. I was just angry that that type of thing has to happen or did happen. So that's my anger.
That's one of those movies that when I think about it now, so many years after it came out, I always think, that's kind of just a schmaltzy Spielberg film. He's always going for, the gut punch emotionally. But I probably rewatch it every couple of years, and every time I rewatch it, it is such a poignant movie, and it's done so well. And probably you could have listed Saving Private Ryan for every single category if you wanted to. I mean, it's just such a great movie. I agree that there's anger that you come away with anger from it, or at least I did too. But also all every other emotion you can think of.
That's a very good point, Tom, because I was confused when I left that movie. I didn't know
Mm,
how to feel. I really didn't, because you walk out because it's a good Hollywood ending and you feel good about it, and he's standing in the graveyard and giving credit to those who died for him, and it's feel good for sure, but you can't feel good because you're so angry and
yeah.
disgusted and sad, and yeah, it's all there.
I read anger as when I'm angry. What do I watch? And
Ah,
I watch John Wick so he can beat the shit out of somebody for me because I can't because I don't want to go to jail and I'd probably get my ass kicked either, anyway. Um, but yeah, that's the direction I went. Tom and I talked about John Wick um, in a previous episode, and so I won't belabor this one. But yeah, watching him beat up on people again and again and again brings me satisfaction when I'm angry.
that's a good one. I
I
like
like
it.
it.
It's funny because, of course, John Wick, especially the first one, is just the ultimate revenge film.
Yeah.
And I picked a revenge film as well, but not really for the same reason. Um, I picked a movie Taken from 2008, which was directed by Pierre Morel, but it's that Liam Neeson. It was the beginning of that huge Liam Neeson run of, I don't know, I think there's three or four Taken films now. But the first one, to me, is just possibly the best angry revenge film. and I could relate to it so well, primarily because, he was out to save his daughter, protect his daughter, and it just made you so mad that these people did what they did, and then again, by the end, so happy that Liam Neeson, basically demolished all of them. So I think that is a very good anger film, and I think it and John
Love
Wick
that.
would be a great double feature.
I love that, Tom, and I can't tell you how many times I've been angry and said to myself, not to anyone else, I've got a particular set of skills.
Yes, yeah, exactly, exactly. It's cold, calculated anger, but it's
Yep.
still anger. Like he's a great actor anyway. But that's why I think that film series, that trilogy or whatever it is, did so well. Is he just was so good at focusing, like looking like he was focusing all of his anger into specific things and specific
Yes.
actions, and the like I said, I think the sequels were okay, but I think the first one was a classic revenge
Yeah.
film.
It was a home run. But guess that brings us to fear. And I was shocked. I did this exercise with my brother, who is a real cinephile, and this was the only movie that we ended up on the same movie. And this is the original Ridley Scott Alien. And for me, it captured fear in multiple ways. Obviously, the jump scare, it did that well, and with that alien, how could you not? But then there was just a underwriting terror of what's going on, and then the psychological thriller side of it. I mean, all of those worked, but the scene that captured me and still haunts me to this day is when the alien had encased humans for breeding purposes. And the man looks out from inside of that goo, stuck forevermore, and says, "Kill me, please."
Oh yeah.
To me, I can't get past that image, and what a horrific existence. And uh, just the movie's amazing. I don't know if you guys know, but Ridley Scott actually made the set slightly smaller every day, and the cast didn't know this because he wanted to get that claustrophobic feel. So he actually decreased the hallways and the size of the wall. Didn't tell anybody, just did it to make the actors feel that much more confined, and uh, the terror just breathes through that movie. It just is amazing.
That's crazy. I didn't know that about the set, and that explains why that movie, one of the reasons that movie scares the shit out of me, because I am claustrophobic and it does feel claustrophobic as you go through that film.
Yeah.
That's some serious directing right there. All right, you big scaredy cat, Chris, what was your choice?
I went with the one movie that I can't watch again, Blair Witch Project. I don't mind horror movies. I actually usually find them kind of boring. And I don't know, not boring per se, but I don't, the gore and all that stuff. But there wasn't any gore in this movie. It was just scary as hell. And I only watched it once. I'll never watch it again. So it qualifies that I can pick it. And I don't know if it started it, but unfortunately, it had a lot of copycats that weren't nearly as good.
Yeah.
But when that first came out, I didn't know much about it, and I watched it, and I mean, I was gripping my seat because I saw it in the theater. Great job on filming this and the technique, but the story was awesome too. It was really great, and I'll never watch it again. So I feel
Yeah.
like Tom because I'm a big old wuss, but this one,
Yeah, that's a great selection. I've only seen that once as well. I saw it drunk from the second row of a movie theater. So not only was I scared, I also thought I was going to throw up at any minute because of all the shaky camera work. But I think you hit it on the head. It started a wave of those kind of found footage films, and very few of them ever rose to the level of that. And it was such a low budget thing. Obviously, it was somebody's student film, I think it started out as, and they just kind of built up on it. You guys both have picked two movies that just scare the hell out of me. Again, I've only seen Blair Witch once. I'm never going to see it again. I've seen Alien more than once, but not much more than once. And I don't think I've ever seen it where I wasn't covering my eyes for half the movie.
Tom, Chris and I have taken odds on this and of what you're going to pick because your lack of favor in this genre. And I picked Charlie Brown Halloween. So
Did you see that ghost? That was the scariest shit I ever saw.
Nice
Turns out
job, Andy.
it was just Snoopy. So I reached way back for the Fear movie for me to, I think everybody would agree, one of the scariest movies ever made. But The Exorcist from 1973, directed by William Friedkin. And when I picked it, I was trying to think of more modern movies that I've seen, and you guys listed two that really would have fit well for me and might even be better choices. But the reality is after I saw The Exorcist, I didn't really watch too many scary movies. So it in my head just always captures just utter fear, just the like frozen with fear feeling that you get when you watch a really well-made horror movie.
Tom, I've done this exercise with three people, and two of them said that movie. And one of them told me that his sleep patterns were harmed for 5 years after watching this. So I don't know what better you can capture than the inability to sleep for 5 years.
Yeah, I every once in a while you'll catch like a clip on YouTube or it'll show up on somebody's social media, and I can't even watch a 30-second clip at this point. It's such a scary movie. It was definitely one of the, if not the pinnacle, it certainly was the beginning of
And well made,
absolutely.
well written, well acted. For that genre, you don't get that a lot.
Yeah,
And
yeah,
True.
it absolutely was.
Yep.
yeah. It scared the shit out of me, that's for sure. And then we have our final category, which is, I think, for me, it was the toughest category because I'm not sure how to define the term disgust for myself. But I think we each picked very interesting films and kind of from three different perspectives.
Yeah, I went with disgust and again disgust with humanity and that takes you quickly to Schindler's List. And I personally didn't see Schindler's List until 10 years after it came out.
Mm.
I knew my emotional reaction was going to be disgust. I knew it's something I wasn't emotionally prepared to see, and it took me a long time to get ready and to watch it. And I was obviously, you can't watch that movie with just being without being just disgusted with humanity and how we as humans get to the point we can do what was done in that movie. Um, I tried to find fun facts about each of these movie, and I think uh, the producer Branko Lustig actually, to get Spielberg to consider this, showed him his Auschwitz tattoo, and that
Mm.
was what pushed Spielberg over the edge. And anyone who lived through that and understands the sheer inhumanity of man, I still just talking about it, it kind of breaks me up a little bit in the disgust. So that's how I handle disgust.
Yeah, that's a powerful film, and I certainly see how you'd put that in that category. I just over the weekend I went to theater and saw the movie Marty Supreme with Timothy Chalamet, and as a movie review, I'd say it's just okay, but one of the characters, just a minor character, it's set in the 50s, and one of the characters survived a concentration camp, survived Auschwitz. And you only find out about that because he's sitting at lunch with someone and his sleeve rides up and someone notices the tattoo. And just seeing the tattoo, when you describe that in Schindler's List, that's the feeling I got. Was it still, I mean, it's 2026, but still you see that and you just can't wrap your head around the fact that people would do that to other people. And unfortunately, maybe want to do that right now, as far as that
Yeah.
goes.
Yeah.
Yep.
So, speaking of disgust, what do you got, Chris?
Yeah. I don't know if I tried to go a little poetic, but I went with Pan's Labyrinth because of the horrors that you see on the realistic side of this movie and the hope that you see on the quote unquote horror side of it. And some of the things that men did to each other while this creature is trying to help save this little girl, imaginary or not. So it's very similar, the disgust of what humans can do to each other, and there's some really graphic violence in it at times, and it just made me sick to my stomach. Not for the violence, just for the thought of what to do it so almost nonchalantly, to kill, to take life, just it's. I could have gone a number of ways. I almost looked at, I think it's the Great Graveyard of the Fireflies, which was a
Oh yeah.
world. It's a cartoon, but it's about to call it a cartoon is really underselling it. Just a really beautiful movie about two kids trying to survive World War II and the bombings, just the things that we do. I mean, and that one was beautiful. That was a beautiful film
Yeah.
talking about a tragic story. So that's where I went, is that this movie is cool because of the dichotomy between those two worlds. And to me, the far more tragic and scary one, disgusting one, is the human side.
Yeah, you know, that's a film that I have not watched all the way through. And I think part of it is because I kind of there's kind of a revulsion when you watch it and the effects. I thought it was just the effects, but I think it may have more to do with what you were just describing.
Yeah.
So I think all three of us really went with that, you know, what film kind of evoked those feelings of disgust, unfortunately, about other humans, which again, in this particular era is not too hard to get to that feeling, I'm afraid. I chose the movie Get Out, which came out in 2017. It was written and directed by Jordan Peele, he's become this phenomenal force of filmmaking in the last 10 years or so. I did not see that movie right away. I refused to see it because I think it was marketed as a horror film. And I felt like it was just maybe just kind of a classic jump scare slasher. It was hard to tell from the film, or from the previews, but I saw a full-length trailer in the theater and I thought there's no way in hell I'm going to see this because I'm already scared. It would have been could have been my fear movie as far as what I anticipated. But my daughter convinced me to watch it. A couple other people told me how great it was and that it wasn't a horror movie. And they were right, first of all. But you know, I mean, it's a 2017 movie, so to spoil it, I mean, it's a movie about racism, and it's a movie about awful things done to black men by white people, and the behavior of those people and what they did to the lead in this movie. I I thought about that movie for weeks afterwards. There aren't a lot of films that I can say in my free time or free moment, I would all of a sudden think back to a scene or something from that movie. And it was almost always this kind of gut clenching feeling of disgust about how they were treating these people. And again, what it reveals is that people feel that way now and want to do those kind of things to other human beings, and it is just it still just brings a feeling of revulsion to me that I can't get over. Uh, I've seen others of Jordan Peele's films since then, and I think he's a really talented guy, but I'm not sure he's ever going to top what he did with that movie.
I think that was a great choice, Tom. And I don't know that it's a direct play, but I could not sit through the movie Sinners without thinking about that movie.
Yeah,
Uh,
yeah.
and it seems so influenced by what Jordan Peele did in Get Out, and I just very different genres, very different feel, very different, but there's so much influence there, and that's the true compliment of art is when it's replicated and copied and leveraged to make something slightly different and better.
Yeah, it's funny. I had the same initial feeling about Sinners. I had to get talked into watching that one too because I'm like, I'm not watching a vampire movie. I don't need because it is a bit gory, but I'm not a big gore fan and didn't have any interest in it. And then I watched it and I think I came around pretty much to the way you felt about it. My runner up was, I did have a runner up film for Disgust just because if there's a movie that just created pure visceral disgust for me in watching it, it's the movie Eraserhead by David
Mhm.
Lynch. Chris and I talked about a bunch of David Lynch films a few episodes back, and this was one of them that I think we both just couldn't stand. But there are scenes in that movie that almost literally make me sick to my stomach. Like they're just so gross and disgusting. So that just for the feeling of disgust, I would go with Eraserhead. But the psychological impact of Get Out is a completely different thing.
Thank you guys for playing along with my weird emotional movie play. I had fun hearing your choices and a couple movies I'm going to go back and watch now just because of your take on them. So thank you.
Yeah, same thing. I've got at least three movies out of your lists that I either haven't seen at all or haven't seen recently that I'm going to rewatch. Although maybe not Blair Witch Project.
Yeah, I'll watch some of the ones that Andy recommended, but nothing that you did, Tom.
Fair enough. Fair. No, I understand. I understand.
Thanks, Chris.
All right. Our next segment is post facto.
It's a mistake. It's a mistake.
Post factos, where Tom and I correct things we got wrong in a previous episode, complete thoughts that we didn't complete, or just bring up things that we otherwise wouldn't have the time to bring up. And I think I may have actually made a mistake recently, which is unfortunate because I never make mistakes.
Yeah, so as I've been editing our season 10 episodes for release, I came across Chris's recommendation of a cover of the song Holiday Road. And in describing the song, which, by the way, I've listened to and really do like, he said that that was on the soundtrack of the Christmas Vacation film with Chevy Chase. And when you said it, I thought you were right because it seems like it's in every vacation movie, but it turns out it's in every vacation movie except Christmas Vacation. So it's even the song in the soundtrack for the reboot that Ed Helms did of Vacation, but the only movie it wasn't in was Christmas Vacation, which is weird because it does feel like a Christmas song, and I think that was the context we talked about it. But anyway, that was Chris's first error ever in the podcast. Ever.
Son of a bitch.
So, and as I understand it, Mr. Armstrong, you have a bone to pick with us.
It's first of all, I love the detectives episode. Really enjoyed it. Loved the discussion. Loved where you went with it. But I just felt there was a gaping hole in missing Barney Miller because I could have put four characters from Barney Miller on that list. Hal Linden as Barney Miller, Abe Vigoda as Phil Fish, Max Gale as Stan Wojciechowicz or Wojo, and then Steve Landesberg as Arthur Dietrich. All four of those characters fit in a crossover of serious and comedic roles as far as how they played them and how they added to the genre overall. You can see elements of them in both dramatic and comedic detective shows to this day. So I think they fit somewhere on the list. I'm not sure where, but I think they're worth a mention at the very least.
Yeah, I do feel like that's a glaring error. I think the only comedies that we mentioned with respect to detectives might have been Brooklyn Nine-Nine. I know we talked about Brooklyn Nine-Nine and Jake Peralta and Captain Holt, but we didn't really talk a lot about the police sitcoms, and there are quite a few of them, but Barney Miller was probably, if not the first, it was the best. And that was definitely something that that was one of the shows my parents would let me stay up a half hour later than my normal bedtime to watch way back in the 70s.
No, I think it's a great observation. Barney Miller was a fantastic show. I thought about it. Wojo was one of my favorite characters. I loved watching him. Fish was awesome.
Fish was great.
Yeah, it was just an overall great show. It's one of those that I watched probably in syndication mostly, but it's a great one. I don't know how we missed it, but even Tom and I make mistakes.
Yes, especially me.
Well, Tom
not
does
so
a lot,
much.
but I don't.
I was going to say, not so much, Chris. Yeah, definitely a legitimate post facto. Thank you for the help.
And that will bring us to staff picks.
Just around the corner from you.
Yep. Staff picks are our choices of things that we're looking forward to coming out soon, maybe recently released, and on occasion, something that we just didn't know about and now really want to tell people about. Chris, what do you got?
Well, I went with a movie last week that I haven't seen yet. So I went with an album that I haven't heard yet. But it's one of my favorite bands. The band is The Lone Bellow, which is one of my favorite names. Three-person band, male. I guess they all sing at various times. So they're coming out with a new album first week of February. So this should be out there by then. It's entitled "What a Time to Be Alive," and I'm not sure if that's sarcastic or what it is, but they're not very political. Just I'm looking forward to hearing what they have. Their sound keeps evolving. They have just some of the best harmonizing I think that's out there right now, and some really nice songwriting. The first couple of singles haven't excited me as much as I would have liked, but we'll see once the full album is released. But I would definitely encourage folks to check out this band. If they come to town, I'm seeing them in a heartbeat. The Lone Bellow.
Cool. Cool. Yeah, I've liked some of the stuff that you've recommended in the past. I'm interested to hear this one. So my staff pick is a podcast, and it is not new or coming out soon. It comes out, I think, once a week, or at least once a month, I suppose. And it's been around since 2017. So that's the thing about podcasts for me is that there are podcasts that have been out there for quite some time that I've just never found out about, don't know about, and they're new to me. It is weird to me that I didn't know about the podcast called The Rewatchables with Bill Simmons because I'm a Bill Simmons fan. I think he's a really funny guy. I think he's an interesting guy, and I really like film podcasts and listen to quite a few of them. So how this got past me, I have no idea. And to tell you the truth, I'm not 100% sure how I found it in the first place. Although it may have been friend of the show, Joe Clemente. He may have brought it up at some point. But anyway, every episode, Bill Simmons and at least one or two other people break down a movie that he considers to be rewatchable. And I think the idea is it's a movie he's seen more than once or twice that he likes to go back to, on occasion. But they've done hundreds of rewatchable episodes at this point. It's one of those podcasts I like because you can pick and choose the episodes. You look to see what movie they're talking about and decide whether you want to hear someone talk about that movie. So I've skipped dozens of episodes because they're about films I don't really care about. But what I find is their take, both Simmons and his co-hosts, are similar to mine enough that I get a kick out of hearing them talk about movies like Friday Night Lights, movies like High Fidelity, or all those 70s and 80s movies we like, the Rockies, the sequels, the Creed movies. They've done practically all of them. I've only listened to about a half a dozen episodes at this point, but I really, really enjoy that podcast. And Bill Simmons is not a guy I think who necessarily needs a lot of advertisement press. He's got a lot of irons in the fire and seems to be very successful. But there's a reason, and I really, really like the podcast, The Rewatchables. I think it's a great kind of unintended companion to the Substack blog that I've touted before called Good Movie by Shea Serrano. It's got a similar sensibility. I think the people who produce it are funny and interesting, and it's definitely worth listening to when you have the time. So, Andy, you, I believe, also have a staff pick for us.
I do, and I have a book for you this time, and it is probably the best book I've read in the last 2 or 3 years. It's a book by Andy Weir, and Andy Weir wrote the book The Martian, which became the movie with Matt Damon. This book is called Project Hail Mary, and it there are so many lovely surprises in it that just made me happy. And it's an interesting book. There's a ton of science in it, and I know you guys like to, at least Chris likes to wade through some of that stuff and understand what's going on there. I enjoyed this one. There's some interesting science. There's some really good existential looks at where we are as a human race, and then there's this wonderful relationship. And the quote of the book I'm going to give you is someone who doesn't really understand our language trying to work with the colloquialisms. Is that the word? Yeah, colloquialisms. And he ends up messing this one up and he says, "Fist my bump." And anywhere any author can get to that is hitting a home run in my mind. So it's worth the read just for that one quote. So that's all I'm going to tell you because I don't want to spoil anything, but it's well worth the read and it's a lot of fun. A lot of fun. And if you enjoy audiobooks, I will tell you this one is amazing. The performance is simply outstanding. It is just a fun 16 hours or so.
Cool. This also, by the way, I think can be a twofer staff pick for you because there is a film coming out based on the book Project Hail Mary with Ryan Gosling. I don't know who the director is, but the trailer looks great, and I'm a Gosling fan. I think he's a great actor, and if they treat it with the kind of approach or respect that they did The Martian, then I have a feeling it's going to be a must-see film. I'm really looking forward to that
Yeah,
film.
in the spirit of Chris Derrickson, I highly recommend the movie, and when I see it, I'll confirm that.
Exactly. Exactly. Yeah, no, that one looks really good. And I've never read any of Weir's books, but The Martian, the film The Martian, is one of my Shawshank movies. If it's on and I walk through the room, I'm stopping and I'm watching the rest of the movie until the end. And I just have a feeling we're looking at the same kind of thing with Project Hail Mary.
Yeah, it's a fun one.
All right. And that will bring us to our playlist picks, which is the core of Third Song In, where Tom and I each choose a song to add to the season playlist. This is season 11, episode 3. So these are our third songs each to add to that list.
Yep. I decided to pick a song that came from my happiness selection for films. From the School of Rock soundtrack, I picked the classic Stevie Nicks song, Edge of 17.
I like it.
Thanks.
That's it.
Great
That's all you're going to say?
Great choice.
I thought so much about School of Rock when I started to prepare for this episode that I kind of put it on my queue, and I'm planning to rewatch that movie also very soon because I can't get enough of that. And I thought that the use of this particular song, in fact, the whole soundtrack of this is just awesome. It's such a music movie anyway, and it's perfect use of this particular song for the film.
Well, I also went with one of the emotions. On many of the lists I looked at, The Outsiders was listed as one for sad. So I went with, ironically, the band that I screwed up what their what soundtrack their song was from, but the Roadside Graves did an album in 2011 called We Can Take Care of Ourselves. It's basically a concept album dedicated to the movie The Outsiders. And I went with the song Love Me More, which is probably one of the more upbeat songs because Andy's on here. So there's all kinds of connections here. I didn't want to depress the shit out of everyone like I always do. So I went with a great, nice, upbeat song that is essentially an homage to the movie The Outsiders.
A great upbeat song to a very sad movie with an artist called the Roadside Grave.
Graves. Yes.
Okay, I got it. I'm saying
No, that's par for the course.
That's a bright day in the life of Chris Derrickson.
I'm a complicated person, man.
Layers. He's got layers.
He's like a fucking onion, that guy.
Love your picks, guys, and I have an honorable mention. The theme just begged that I call this one out, and after doing the research, I found that this particular song is the only song that was made for a movie but won the Oscar, the Golden Globe, and the Grammy. And that, or maybe it was the first, but I know it was at the time the only. Carly Simon and Let the River Run from Working Girls way back in 1988. It's this interesting thing that she pulled out Walt Whitman and William Blake with the New Jerusalem, whole bunch of stuff happening inside that song that's gospel and a jungle beat. And I just listened to it again, and it just brings me joy when I hear that song. So I wanted to bring it up and at least to add it as an honorable mention.
Yeah, that's awesome. That's not a song I'm real familiar with, and I certainly didn't know it had been, as award-winning and successful as that. That's wild.
Yeah, watch the video. It'll make you feel good.
Well, I could use a little of that. Done.
Andy, always a pleasure. Doing this podcast, the best part has been reacquainting with friends, and you are just a fantastic person. And feel bad that I missed all those years of chatting and having you make fun of my music. It would have been fun.
There's still time, man.
Very thankful to be here. So thank you for letting me play in your sandbox.
Yeah, so we absolutely want to thank you, Andy, for your third appearance on Third Song In. It's your third appearance in.
Thank you. Great to be here. It's always a pleasure, and this theme was wonderful. It was fun going back and looking at it and putting the pieces together.
Yeah, it's very helpful, I think, for us going forward too, because we do want to do our top fives for season 11 and probably season 12. But if you just take your top 5 favorite songs, for example, it's a little too broad, a little too hard to wrap our head around. So we're probably going to look at our future episode topics kind of along the lines of what you suggested here, not necessarily the exact same approach, but try to find ways to narrow things down. And I think that was a really good way to narrow down films. So appreciate it.
No worries.
Third Song In is recorded in Chapel Hill, North Carolina, Joliet, Illinois, and Elmhurst, Illinois. You can email us with your questions, your comments, and your suggestions to thirdsongin@gmail.com. Please follow and rate the podcast wherever you listen to it. You can find us on all the major streamers. You can also find our playlist on the streaming services. Please share those, download them, let people know about them. Word of mouth is very important, and we could use all the help we can get. We're on some social media. You can find us. We have a Facebook page and an Instagram page. We're on Blue Sky. Again, please follow us there. Please share those posts. We post stuff about the podcast, but we also try to keep you advised of things that are going on with our past and future guests. Finally, we have a weekly blog. Chris and I alternate writing a weekly blog that you can find on our website, which is thirdsonginpodcast.com. But you can also subscribe to us on Substack, and every week the blog will be emailed directly to your inbox.
Before you close, I just want your listeners to know that I've been to your house, I've looked in your closet, and you don't have all their fucking stars.
Thank you, man. Thank you. You know what? It slipped my mind, but where the fuck are the stars?
I was shocked. I figured by now you'd have them all, but they're not there, gang.
No,
So
we don't.
give
We
them
do
your
not have
fucking
enough
stars.
Don't have enough stars. It's 2026, people. It's time to give up your stars.
Amen.
You've been listening to Third Song In with Chris Derrickson and Tom Polachek. Thanks for listening. Please subscribe in both places and enjoy our weekly thoughts. What the fuck? Luckily, there was a long pause there, so I could just cut that motherfucker right out.
Sorry. I was thinking about the Black Eyed Peas. Sorry.
Stop that. Stop that.
It's just like in my world of just, I was going over to YouTube Music. I was going to play it for a second.
Focus, man. Focus.
I know.
We got a podcast. We're trying to do a podcast here. He's like a fucking onion, that guy.